starting session, that is second session, I request the participants, those who have not filled the feedback form, please check the link will be mentioned in the WhatsApp group. Please check that group so that you can give the feedback because your feedback is very valuable. So, and welcome back once again for the second session of day 2 of this 1 week online FDP on research methodology for social sciences, tools, techniques, and practices. So, in this morning, Dr. Sunil MV gave a valuable insights on information accessing tools and e-resources for literature review. Later, Dr. Ramkumar S gave significant inputs on how to conduct literature review and spotting the gaps. I hope those two sessions were very informative for the participants over here. Now, we have Dr. Kartika P, Assistant Professor, Department of Business Administration, Vidyavardhaka College of Engineering, Mysuru. This session will be a hands-on session where she will be demonstrating reliability test and descriptive data analysis using SPSS. And data set has already been sent to your respective email IDs. Now coming to Dr. Kartika P's introduction. Dr. Kartika P is having over 10 years of teaching experience and 1 year of industry experience. She was awarded PhD from Anna University in the year 2016 in the area of management, especially finance. She has patent granted on Green Human Resource Management Practices Framework for healthcare organization under stressful COVID-19 in the year 2020. She also has patent publication on data integration platform of unified payment interface for seasonal entrepreneurs in the year 2020. She has conducted more than 30 financial education workshops for various college students and self-help groups. Inventory management project also was done by her for Anupam Textile, Tirupur, and she was a top academic performer in her postgraduate when she was a student. She has completed technical analysis of index future with special reference to National Stock Exchange project at Angel Broking Limited, Tirupur. She has published a number of research articles in various reputed and peer-reviewed national and international journals. So we are privileged to have you here today for this FDP, madam. Now I request Dr. Kartika P to take over the session. Before Dr. Kartika P takes the session, I request all the participants to kindly mute their audio and video and don't present in between so that it will not disturb the other participants. Thank you very much. Over to you, madam. Kartika, madam. Narayan Swami sir, am I audible? Okay. Kartika, madam.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Kartika, madam, are you there? But your voice is not audible, madam. You have muted your mic. Please unmute it and talk. So I request all the participants to have their own name when they log in Google Meet, because somebody has kept some other name, because we are also considering attendance. Okay, for every session we are taking attendance. Please make sure that you have your own name in your profile. There is somebody called KK Invincible. I kindly request those participants to have their own names. Okay, please. Thank you. Kartika, madam.
So she just give her 1 second, sir. She'll be online.
Sir, is it audible?
No.
Kartika madam, please check your mic in your tab.
She's checking. Not.
It's not audible. Yeah, participants, please excuse for a few minutes. There is a technical problem. We will sort it out within few seconds. So, good afternoon, participants. Today, our resource person, Dr. Kartika, will talk about two things. One is reliability and descriptive statistics. So, in reliability analysis, Madam is going to talk about how to test the reliability of a scale. Okay, in that tested and what are the various methods available for testing reliability of a scale. And after that, she will also be discussing about the descriptive statistics. Especially, she will talk about how to present the data in the form of graphs and tables. Then how to get the output in SPSS that is in the forms such as mean, median, mode, maximum values, minimum values, skewness, and kurtosis. Okay, and she will also be telling how to test the normality the given data, okay, using Shapiro-Wilks test. And
Dr. Narayan Swamy sir, your voice is also breaking. Narayan Swamy sir. Excuses for the inconvenience caused because of some technical problem. I will rectify it in another 1 minute. We will start the session. Thank you very much.
Yeah, dear participants, we'll start in a few minutes. Some technical issues happened due to some network error.
Okay. Good afternoon to all the participants. I kindly excuse for the technical error that happened. Actually, I planned to present through my tab. It's because of that the connectivity issue. I couldn't do that, so I started with in another system. That is what this time lapse happened. I think yesterday's session you learned about how to enter the data, how to clean the data, and how to fine tune your data for doing analysis. In today's session, we are going to be start with the simple analysis, that is a descriptive analysis. I think many of us, we know that what is a descriptive analysis. Like it is, this descriptive analysis is used to give basic idea, that means basic feature of the data. So like what is our data? That is summary statistics, the descriptive statistics, this is summary statistics of quantifying our data. So like for example, frequency distribution or percentage analysis and all we use we do under the descriptive statistics. So here under the descriptive statistics, the first we are going to be measure the central tendency. Okay, what does mean by central tendency? That means it says how our data, that is the how our data is distributed. Or it represents the location of our data. So here today we are going to be start with the session to do the descriptive statistics in SPSS. So for doing this, I request all the participants to open the data file. It is file name is called grades. Okay, please all of you open the data file, grades. Let us the process of loading for IBM statistics taking more time. Yeah, I hope along with me, every one of you also opened this data file. It is a grade.sab. So now the first we are going to be analyze the tendency. So for that, you can So here, I just before doing analysis, I want to explain about this file. So this file regarding it is it's a student detail and a mark regarding the quiz and final examination mark, like some percentage, some grade detail, and finally their result, whether they are pass or fail. Around this data file has around 105 data. Okay, this file has 105 students detail. So, and also, and along with that, the name, I think already you know that how to measure the data types here. It is a scale, that is ID to, from ID to, from the pass fail. We used different type of scale, measurement scale, from nominal, ordinal, and the scale type. So this all are done, you know how to do from the yesterday's class itself. So now we are going to start the analysis. You can, in the descriptive statistics, I'm started in the descriptive statistic. Yeah. Go to frequencies. You can, yeah. So the mean, median, the central tendencies, or it is under the statistics option under the frequency. So first we have to know. So for the frequency, so now we are trying to measure the mean, median, mode. So we have the variable like ID to, but we have to know that which variable I can take. So here, if the variable is measured, okay, in internal or ratio scale, that means we can call it is only one type of scale, that is scale type of data. So that I can do for mean analysis. If the nominal variable, so nominal or ordinal, I can't calculate the mean and mode, median. So I'm selecting the scale variables from Q1, the Q1 to quiz 5, and I'm selecting final exam, and I'm selecting percentage. Sorry. 5 quizzes and final exam. Then I do percentage. So here, after that, I click the statistics. Under the statistics, there are so many, the things are there. So many other measurements also there, like standard deviation, minimum, range. So we will go one by one. So that first we are measuring the central tendency. So I just click mean, median, mode. So just click continue. I don't want a display frequency table now. We can go that frequency table after some time. So I just, yeah. So look at that. So I just trying to measure the central tendency of the data. That means its location of the data distribution in our data set. Here, what are the measurement we selected means mean, median, mode. So now I just pasted the same table into the PPT. Second. Sorry. The same thing I pasted here, mean, median, mode. So the thing is, I measured the mean value and median and mode value for the data type, which is measured under the ratio scale. And the second notable point, so this, what is my mean value? So we have to, so even though it is a descriptive statistics, we are using the descriptive statistic for in our thesis or article writing, we have to interrupt all this value. We have to, reporting is important. So it is the mean, that is for there are 105 students are there in the data set in the sample. So their score, okay. The mean score of the mean score in the quiz 1 is 7.47. Then median So median is nothing but it is a middle value. That is means middle mark of middle mark. So like maybe the quiz may be conducted for the 10 mark, represent that middle value of the data. And mode. So mode we can mode is nothing but the most frequently occurring value. So in here under the quiz 1, the most frequently occurred mark is 10. So like that it is. So you can take the final examination. So what is the mark score? It's most frequently scored by the students means 68. So 68 the mode means, that means most of the students, they scored for 68 mark in their final examination. So like that we have to tell all mean and median mode. So here I run the central tendency for which type of variable, that scale variable I done for the CT measure central tendency. So next we will measure about variance and standard deviations. Okay, variance and standard deviation. For that, I am going. So, So again, analyze descriptive statistics, go to frequencies. So now I just deselect all this item to this side. Variance and standard deviation. So I'm using final examination mark and percentage. Then I include total mark and grade point average. So on grade point, look at here also I'm measuring the standard deviation and variance for the scale variable. So we should not do the mistake of measuring these kind of test for ordinal or nominal variable. So go to statistics, and now I want standard deviation, variance, I think, and the range. And you can click also minimum and maximum value. We don't click SC mean, that is standard mean error. We will discuss the standard mean error in the normality test. I just give continue. Then give OK. So look at that. Now it is you got the answer of the standard deviation and variance of the final. So final exam marks, percentage of the students, and total marks, and their grade point average. So what it is means, what is standard deviation? So again, I'm going to same this I copied here. So look the way, so standard deviation. So what standard deviation is denoting? So standard deviation is measure the dispersion of our data set. So dispersion is nothing but it is spread. So the standard deviation is the measure is used to tell about how our data set is deviating or spread over the mean value. Okay, for example, here it is for the final exam, the mean value is 63.98. So I put it, so here on the line, it's denoting, it's a normal curve. I put it normal distribution. Here, it is the central line denoting the mean value. So it is, for example, for the final exam, the mean value is 61.8. If suppose the standard deviation is 7.94 for the final examination is, you can look. So the mark is, okay, the mark the mark of the students is spread plus or minus 7.943% over the mean value. So whenever we can get it is less standard deviation, that time we can say our deviation is low. That means data spread is near or close. It is will be closely spread over the mean value. So look at the case of the total. For the total category, the standard deviation is 15. So this is, look at this one, 15. So how the mean value is 100, but it is the standard deviation is more. So the data that is mark of the students is widely spread from the mean. You can look at that left corner to right corner. So the mark will be spread, the spread of the mark. Okay. The spread of the mark is more. It's a widely spreaded over. So one side to other side. So what it is mean by why we have to use the standard deviation in our research? For example, if I'm using this, so I measure the that is standard deviation of written of any one company of the share. Okay, so I download the share prices and calculated the written and calculate the standard deviation. What it says that if that is the case, if the standard deviation is more for me, I feel that the particular share price is more volatile. So in making investment in that particular share it's a risky investment asset for that. Then, so we have to interpret the standard deviation based upon the context of research, what we are doing. So next, you look at that variance. Okay, the variance. So variance is, you know that it is a square of the standard deviation is variance. It's also, again, that's 7.9 into 7.9, it is like 63. It also says that however our data is spread around the mean. More variance, the data is more away from the mean. It's like variance is less, standard deviation is less, our data are very close to the mean of our data set. Then it is a range. It's a range. It's not coming, sir. It's your system is very the normality. Why the normality we are checking means before applying some statistical tool, especially parametric test and all, we have to check whether our data is normally distributed or not. If the so for checking this normality of the data, there are two ways is there. One is checking the normality through graphical inspection. That means
Ma'am, audio problem. Karthika ma'am. No, there she went.
Madam, your presentation is not visible.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Yeah.
Now it is audible, madam.
Yeah. Can I start with the normality? Otherwise, am I want to start with little more earlier concept?
Ma'am, from range, I think from when you are explaining range, from that time, the audio was very poor.
Okay, ma'am. Sorry. So I start from the range, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So the range calculation, it's how that values are, right? That if the difference between the maximum and minimum, that is maximum value minus minimum value, 75 minus 40, we got a range value. Okay. And yeah, as I told, the even though it is a standard deviation and variance or the descriptive statistics, but it is important based upon the our conduct of the thesis. As I told, one example from the share price analysis. So under the share price analysis, standard deviation is the important tool to measure the risk. So it is standard deviation variance we can apply based upon our context of the research. So next type of descriptive analysis, it's a normality. So under the normality, we will check that our data is normally distributed or not. This is very important to check our data is normally distributed or not, because a few statistical measurements like parametric test, ANOVA, before running this kind of test, we will check whether our data is normally distributed or not. For the checking the normality, there are two ways there. One, we can use some statistical test, that is like skewness, kurtosis test. This we can call statistical test. We by using the statistical test, we will measure the normality. Or we using some graphs, like it is histogram and PP plot, some other plot charts and all we use for measuring the normality. So we will go and do one by one the different kind of methods used to check the normality. So the first, we are going to generate the skewness and kurtosis for our data set to measure the normality. So under the analyze, again I'm going to the frequencies. So here I select one categorical variable, gender, and I'm selecting final exam. So here, wait, sorry, I used myself. Okay, you're going to analyze. Yeah, and go to descriptive statistics. Okay, go to explore. Yeah, under that, I just select one variable. That is here we have to decide in a dependent variable. So the dependent variable, I take final exam mark as a dependent variable, and factor, I want to segregate this final exam mark based upon gender. So I selected gender under the factor list. Then I'm just clicking status. I'm clicking statistics. Under statistics, it's descriptive is selected. I will continue. Then I just give an OK. Yeah. So we look at the output, the mark, the student's mark. Okay, it is segregated based upon the gender. Then now we are looking at the normality, whether this final mark, okay, it is final mark, it is normally distributed or not in both the cases separately. So female and male. So both the cases, whether our data is normally distributed or not. So it's same table. It's I pasted into the here in the PPT. Yeah. Always we expect whenever our data is near the data, not data, it's like skewness value is near to 0, that time we can say our data is normally distributed. But actually really that data we won't get it that our skewness value is 0 or it is 0. So here we can first understand that what is our skew. Before going and analyzing this value of the skewness and kurtosis, I just explained that it is what is normal distribution, that is what is skewness. Okay. So look at that, the symbol diagram. See the middle, so look at the middle diagram. Here under the middle, we can be able to see the bell-shaped curve. That means our data is balanced data. It is distributed. Okay, it is distributed and has the symmetrical distribution. Suppose our data is imbalanced data. The ranges are from one side. You look at that, the negative skew. The negative skew means our data are more over the left side. You can see that the data are distributed this side, or it's vice versa. The data may be distributed to the right side. So you can look at that it is a positive skew. So the skewness, we are telling that it is whether our data is symmetric. Okay, if symmetric means it's a normal distribution. If it is our data set is not symmetric, it is asymmetric distribution. This means the data set is imbalanced. Either once our data is distributed either one side of one side, then we can say it is a skewed one. So we are telling it is a positive skewness and the negative skewness. Then we can what is meant by kurtosis. The kurtosis, you can look out that it is a tail. That is, we can say that in the normal distribution, these two sides, the tails, we can call it as a tails. Suppose the kurtosis value here it is minus 0.593. It's very small. If our data has the kurtosis values more, that means the more tail will be there. That means the tailedness is, so we have length in our distribution has length tail. That means tailness is more. If like this kind of value is higher, suppose it's very near to or close to 0 or very low values, low kurtosis value, that time we can get it the small teeny tail. Okay, we can get the teeny tail. So the skewness says about the asymmetry. Okay, asymmetry position of the distribution, and it is kurtosis, it speaks about the tailness. So then we can see that how we are able to measure the normality by using the value of this skewness and kurtosis. The first thing, what we can expect, the data, what is our expectation means the skewness and kurtosis measures, it's close to 0 means we will expect that our data is normally distributed. But it is practically an actual data. We can't never say that we cannot always expect that our data set is very close to 0. Some positive plus or minus values will be there, minus things will happen. And here also our data, see you can check our skewness and kurtosis value. It's not 0, but it is okay. It's 2.43 and minus 0.243 and 0.539. It's very close to 0, even though it is exactly not 0, but it is close to 0. Then, yeah. I'm comparing to the standard error, standard mean error. Okay, here you can compare the standard mean error. the next second column. For the skewness, the standard error mean is 0.299. So what it is indicate means if our skewness and kurtosis measure and their error measure. So this value, our skewness and kurtosis values is not large. It's comparing to our error value. You look at 0.243, 0.29. Its ranges are very near. Okay, that ranges are not so whenever the measures our skewness and kurtosis measures, it's not large comparing to our error terms. That time we expect our data is normally distributed. Then we can prove our expectation. So how we can prove our expectation? That means the simple calculation, the skewness value, you can minus 2.43 divided by the standard error value of the skewness, that is 0.2299. You may get it around, you use calculator and get it the value may be around, because it's a minus 2.43, so it's minus 0.81, like that. You can get it. If it is, for example, I just type here. Yeah, the value is, if you divide by, you can get it minus 0.813. So yeah, can you check that where this value is slide? The minus 0.813 is slide between plus 0.6 to minus 0.6. So whenever, yeah. It is not kurtosis value, sorry, it is a skewness value. Yeah, so look at that, skewness value, that's for female only I'm speaking about, minus 0.243 divided by 0.299, we can get value around minus 0.183. So this value is between plus 0.1, sorry, plus 1.6 to minus 1.6. So if whenever we divide our skewness divided by its standard error, we get a result, the value between plus or minus 1.6, then we can say the data, that is the data is normally distributed. Same thing we apply for the kurtosis also. Kurtosis divided by standard error, that time we can get the value, the result is between plus 1.6 to minus 1.6, that time our value. Yeah, so that time our value is, our data is normally distributed. So what it means, then we can conclude that yes, so you can apply the same thing for the here also, this side, for this is female, and you can apply for the male male data also. So we can get it that the value is between 0.16 to minus, then both the cases we can say that it is, though we have the skewness is little is there, okay, little tailness is there, kurtosis is there, but our data is not much significantly differ from the normality. So we can conclude that our data is normally distributed. Yeah. So both the cases, male and female, so look, yeah, male and female category, our data is normally distributed. Yeah, so this is one way to check the normality by using the skewness and kurtosis. The next, we are going to be, okay, check the normality by using the Shapiro-Wilk test. So for that, I'm just opening the SPSS file. Yeah. Again, analyze descriptive statistics. No, analyze descriptive statistics. Explore. Same, the dependent variable is final exams, a scale variable, and factor list is sender. Now I'm just click both. I'm just here display. I click for statistics as well as plots, and then I'm clicking display. Okay. It's selected as a descriptive, fine, and I'm just going for plots. Here it is. I want to the two graphs, okay, stem and leaf graph, histogram, and normality plots with test. Then only we can get the Sapir-Whorf test. So you have to click that normality plots with test. So all these options you tick. Give continue, give OK. Yeah. So now we got the result. So this is, we already discussed about this skewness and kurtosis value. So now we are moving into the, okay, another test of normality. So again, this is copied in the slide. I'm going to the slide. Yeah, the result. Just you can look at this. This is a case summary. That means the gender is class. That is means the final exam mark is classified based upon the female and their percentage. It's a case summary is in the first table. In the you can look at the second table, the test of normality. There are two tests are here. Okay. Kolmogorov Smirnov test and Sapir-Whorf test. Here, in the two tests, we are considering the value of the Sapir-Whorf test to check our data set. Why I'm just so why the reason of choosing the Sapir-Whorf test is, so though our sample is large, or we have the sample is like less than 50, so the sample size is in case of few that's less sample size, or it is that is also this test will work. Or suppose we have the sample size is more than 200, also large set of samples, also this test will be appropriate. So now though the two significant values are here, but we are considering the Sapir-Whorf set because this is appropriated for all kind of samples, small and large sample also. So here, okay, so you significance value, we always say about the p value. So under that, here there's a p value for the female is 0.172, and that is more than 0.05. For the male, yeah, it is again significance value, p value is 0.164. So both the cases, the p value is more than that 0.05. So what is our conclusion? So sorry, we are failed to reject null hypothesis. So what is our null hypothesis? I mentioned here the data is normally distributed. So as per this Sapir-Whorf test, the significance value is it's more than 0.05. So we fail to reject the null hypothesis. So it indicates that our data that okay, that is final exam mark is normally distributed. Yeah, so this is the I explained about the there are the two way how to check the normality. By that is one, the previously we explained about how the kurtosis and skewness value is used to measure the normality. Now that Sapir-Whorf test is used for. So next we are moving to the graphical analysis of normal distribution. So I just again go to the output screen of SPSS. Yeah, look at that. This table we explain. Another, we have histogram. Okay, and the histogram, it's distributed for female. Then the histogram is distributed for male. Then okay, QQ plot test. Yeah, next. The another graphical representation is QQ plot test. So yeah, leave it this one, it is detrended. The trend is, again, the trend is removed, the data is distributed into the detrended. The another output what we got is, yeah, it is, okay, box plot test. Okay, this is a blot box test. So now we are going to be, so now we are going to discuss the first one, okay, QQ plot test, then histogram, then, okay, box plot. So all the result I copied into the PowerPoint. So first we will discuss about normal QQ plot of final exam mark. So look at that here. This is the diagonal line. The center line is diagonal line. Whenever the data values are very near to the diagonal line, or on the diagonal line, or it's very close to the diagonal line, it indicates the data is normally distributed. Yeah. So both the cases, look at that, it is female. You might note that there is, except this one point is little away, this one point, except all this. So all the, especially final exam marks, it's very near, and or few are on the diagonal line also. Male also, you can look at that, the two or these 2 points are away, more than that, it is 90%. Look at that, all the data points are on the diagonal line. So whenever we get QQ plot test like this, then we can say that the data is normally graph. We can predict, so we can get to know whether our data is normally distributed or not. Then we come this side, that is a histogram. So histogram also is used to check the normality. So you can look at all the bars and take a pencil and draw the bell shape. Okay, take a pencil and or assume it is you are able to cover all the bells by normal. You are able to fit the normal curve for your histogram. That means the rectangle box or covered with the bell curve. Then we can say the data is so the data is normally distributed. So just I'm trying to I'm not able to draw. Just I'm imagining that if I can put one curve like this here to there, definitely I'm able to cover all this histograms inside my bell curve. So look at that, this also you can draw one bell curve. We are able to draw the bell shape around the histogram. Then we can so we can assume that our data is normally distributed. So the PP plot and the histogram are used to check normal, so normal distribution of the data by graphically. See, another we are using this block plot test also, but here it is the difficulty is, the thing is by seeing this it's like block, we cannot come to the prediction whether it is our data is normally distributed or not. So how the way we have what we have to use means, so how we can able to test by using this block first means, see, we have to try the normal. We have to try to draw the normal or assume the normal. Assume the normal distribution curve from this, that this is, we can call it as a minimum value point. This is, we can call it as a maximum value point. This central middle line, it says that median. Okay, the central line is median. So that is the median is, okay. So we say it is the highest data, that is it will be the data points are here. We are able to cover the data points from here to there, drawing many kind of histogram from this point to this point. Then we can check whether the data is normally distributed or not. Same like for this male also, here this dark black line denote about the median. And again, you can assume that your lower, so there is a this is a maximum value and point, this is a minimum value point. Assume that there are so many histograms are around from this end to that end. If you are able to draw the curve, okay, bell-shaped curve around this, then you can fix it. So you can check it is your data is normally distributed or not, but use of this. The another two graph what I shown it's earlier, that is a QQ plot test and histogram. It is the easiest way to check our normality. Okay, so again this we can speak more about this block work test under the type of chart. Yeah. So next, I'm moving to that next part. There are some references. Okay. So I just put it into the slide. You can refer that. Okay. So where you can know more about Shapiro-Wilks test, or you know more about kurtosis and skewness. So this link, this detail will you give will guidance more about this test. So next we are moving into the frequency distribution. Yeah, just analyze descriptive statistics. Frequency distribution, and just put. So as we know that the frequency to run for, so frequencies, it's the most appropriate for the nominal and ordinal kind data. So I just put Ethernet and center. Another one also we will put. Okay, yeah. So I just 3 variables I to call it is belonging to, it is a nominal and ordinal type of data. So here I can just in statistics, I don't want anything. Okay, and continue. I put display frequency statistics. Yeah, so simply we know that the frequency statistics used for knowing the number frequency and the percentage analysis. For the percentage analysis, we can use the frequency distribution. It's ethnicity of the students. Okay, it is like it is native, Asian, black, white, is Hispanic. That is it's this kind of ethnicity is related to the Spain students. Okay, it's a gender like female, and what is the percentage of male and female. Okay. And that is a class division. There are 2 class division is there, upper class and lower class. So it is the percentage of the upper class and the percentage of the lower class. So as we know that, all we know that it is like frequency distribution is used for the percentage analysis. Okay. Look at, so here I just put all the individual, this side, ethnicity and gender, lower and upper divisions, and all. I just put it in individual so individual nominal and ordinal type of variable we analyzed. But if I want to do it for the 2, for example, under each, look at this this side graph, under each ethnicity, I want to know how many percentage of females are under the Asian category or under the native category, how many men's are coming into the each category. So for doing this kind, so analyzing the 2 or more ordinal and nominal level of data. So we are use the option under the cross tab. So I'm yes. Going to analyze descriptive statistics. So under the frequencies, we explored that percentage analysis for individual variable. So we want to go for the combined result. Go to cross tab. Yeah. Under the cell, we want click row column total. Continue. And it is in column. I do gender in the row. Just yeah. So I just done under the yeah, repeating analyze in the descriptive statistics. We want to analyze the percentage of more than so one variable means we can do under the frequency. It's more than two variable. We can use the under the cross tab option. Under the cell, just I put row column, what are the row and column percentage. So I need a percentage. I just click the percentage of row, column and total, then continue. Okay, and I put it as a one categorical variable into the row and another categorical variable into the column. So I got the result. Yeah, the result is like, so now you know that it is within ethnicity, that means native. So for 6.3, okay, and a female, 6.3% of the females are into the ethnicity of native category, and Asian category, like it is 20.3. So it's like we can able to, okay, each in the male also we can able to compare. So like, so we are able to compare the percentages, okay, between two groups. We are able to do under the cross tab in the cell option. Yeah, it is a simple, as I told, it is a frequency distribution is a very simple for the individual variable, and it is for the more than one variable also. We run, we are able to run the frequency distribution. Yeah, so next we are going to discuss about charts, as we know that, and we can think about it is the easiest part of the data analysis is generating the different kind of charts. Yes, it is the easiest way for generating, but the thing is we usually we will copy the chart which is generated by the SPSS like it is in our article, and it is, or it is a report writing. Actually we have to modify the things as per the APA style, or we have to modify the charts as per the need. So we are going so we're going to see all those things here. The yeah, just we can do so we can generate the graphs, the charts in the multiple way. The one is you can go and do it from the chat, okay, chat builder, or you can go and do it from the legacy dialog box also. That is also possible. Or you can able to generate the charts from descriptive analysis also in frequency. You are able to see that here the charts are bar chart, pie chart, histograms all available. So these are the three way in the SPSS we are able to generate the charts. So now I'm using that. Okay, here it is. I'm using chart builder. I just click. They can ask that whether you are all your variables are measured into the proper scaling. I just click. It's don't ask again. Yeah. So here it in this window, you are able to see that the different charts are available, and also our all variables. So now the first chart we are going to we are going to draw a symbol bar. So first I selected and dragged that into the white color white area. So now it is selected. Then you know that it is a bar chart. It's a bar chart. It's appropriate for the nominal and ordinal kind of data. If you put into the scale data also, your bar chart look like we can not able to interrupt our bar chart if you use bar chart for our scale kind of variables. If you want, okay. So if I put skills also, it's I won't get it's a proper diagram. So I'll select ethnic. Just drag this to your x-axis. Drag the variable from the variable box to the x-axis of the chart. Okay, then it will come. So it okay. Now you look at that this side. We have to able to define x-axis, y-axis, and after that there is an option. It's called statistics. You just check that here. If you want represent your graph in terms of percentage or in terms of count. Okay, that is cumulative count, or in terms of percentage or mean value, median value. So for the purpose, I'm selecting the percentage. Okay, click. Give apply. Yeah, it's so give OK. Yeah, look at it is a default. It is a default way. It's SPSS is a present the graph, bar graph, but we want the color change. It's see the size of the bar also. It's a size is more, so we have to reduce all those things. How to edit all that? So just double click that output screen. It automatically chart editor will open there. Yeah. So first I want to change color. You can make it as a transfer. No color also. Apply. Yeah, it's all. Then I just selecting the all bars. You can change colors. That is also fine. Now the width, I want to go with width. I have to reduce the width because usually the bar chart default produced by the SPSS is bar width is more. So I just applied. So I reduced it, like, and how Excel chart look like. The SPSS charts won't look like Excel, so we have to modify. Then title. I want title for that. Yeah, here there are so many options are available. You can look at that. First we want label. Without label its chart look like that. So I just here you can see that it is label option. Add this is title. So I just simply type that okay, just click you what the title you want, and many you see option. Yeah, so many charts in the articles and all, when they are presenting the chart, they can with footnote. The footnote is nothing but whether that chart is compiled by author or they referred from someone. So you have to put source, where the source it's compiled by author, or you can put it refer from so and so. It's like that we can use it. So here also it's alignment. We can do alignment of this X times. Yeah, it's a source usually left aligned. That align. text layout. Why it's not coming? We are able to align this source into this corner. Okay, usually in that API style format, the source will be this side. Okay, so yeah, so here it is. Yeah, you can just give, here it is under the text layout. Yeah, text layout. Yes, you can able to align it, whether it is justify or it is like which kind of alignment you know. And almost though it is a graph, we have to form uniform font and font styling in our article. So all these things, font size, type, everything we can text. Okay, we can able to change here. Okay, which type of font we want, the size based on the requirement, we are able to do that. And the most important thing is, I'm just coming to the label option. Yeah, it's label option. You can just check that. Here it is, label option. Just click that. The value, okay, values appeared on your that is also you can adjust whether it is values middle or it's okay. The yeah, it is once it's clear, it's whether it is filled by any color or white color, or you want to adjust the adjust the position of the label value, and all it will be applicable here. Yeah, so once if it is whatever the then this is the scale. You can able to change here. This is axis value, also y axis also. So suppose it's from 0 to 50%. You want to the scale to be 0 to 100. Okay, you just click scale. You can just click it is a minimum. So minimum is 0, maximum is maximum if it is 100. It's based upon your and inter scale is 10. That is also fine. You can just give apply. It will be change your chart size is reduced. So what you can do, it's a maximum. You can look at that. It is 10. No, it's not looking good. So you can keep the default option 50. So 80. Give apply 80. Yeah, it's okay. So all the changes were the requirement with the okay, the axis labels also we can, if you want, you can change it. So you can access label also, we are able to change. Okay, that values also, it's started from 0 to 50 by default. We change it to 0 to 80. Yes. So this is what we can able to modify the chart. Even so, all kind of chart, not only this kind of modification in the bar chart. All it's it is bar graph, or it is a pie chart, or it is a scatter plot chart. All we can able to modify as for the our report writing style. Okay, just once close this file. You can just close this chat editor. Then all the modification whatever we done it's displayed into in our output screen. Then if you want to save this into the Word file, just click. We are able, so we are able to manually copy and paste also. Otherwise we can just do export into this option is there, export to Word file. We can click this, then the particular graph is saved into the Word file. So now I done for the paragraph for the one variable. We can use the paragraph for the two variables also. That is called, it is a I just go again for I will do the bar graph for two graphs. Yeah, graph builder, just hide it is, yeah, I just put it that. So I just dragged changed the cluster. Okay, I'm just using the cluster bar graph. I just dragged here. Okay, native Asian ethnicity. Then another one, the cluster. It's the segregation is based upon what? So I want to segregation is based upon gender. You can look at that now. It is give okay. Yeah. So look at that. It's a male and female wise. So the ethnicity, I classified ethnicity into the male and female. So you can able to use like symbol. This is a symbol for graph. The cluster for graph also we can use. The third type also available, graphs bar. Then third will be a stacked one. So this is also you can try with multiple try. So next, line graph. As we know that the line graph is used to display the scale variable data. So our data is scale data. That time you can use the line. Okay, so line also just I'm simply doing that line. Here it is. I can take one. Another scale final exam I take into the column value and grade column, that means y-axis. I took final exam marks and I just dragged grade point average in the x-axis. So somehow, okay, so it's graph legend. Look at the graph. So it is the x-axis value I took grade point average, and y-axis I took the final exam. So it took the mean value of the year. So the usually it's more informative comparing to the bar chart. It is a line chart. Is all the series of data set is connected by the line. It is more thing whether it is the trend. You are able to able to note the trend of the marks all or like that. You can able to do. So we can able to interpret from the line chart. Then the third type of chart we are speaking about, it is a okay, it is like third one is you can use area chart. It's based upon your data requirement, and mostly we use it as okay, yes, bar chart. Sorry, by chart. The by when this chart is suitable for all kind of your nominal data or it is ordinal data. Just click the center. Gender details, just I give okay. You can able to generate okay male and female. So as I told that all kind of you can able to modify this chart based upon your report writing style. So I don't know. So I want to go finally with the another chart, that is the histogram. We finished scatter plot. Yes, we will use box plot and scatter plot. Yeah. So this scatter. So look at that. If I use this scatter plot for the data, it is like it is a categorical data. My chart won't give any meaning. It's so I have to change my the thing. Okay, I'm just grade point, and I can select another one also in scale variable. Suppose I'm selecting the final mark. So just give okay. You can see, look at that. Usually why where we use this scatter plot diagram means for analyzing the relationship between the two variables. So what are the two variables I asked? One is grade point average and final examination. For this the relationship, I can't find out any relationship between these two variables. So you might know that you can recall the correlation analysis, whether it is a positive relation, either any kind of linear relationship exists between the two variables. Will be analyzed by using the scatter plot diagram. But the two variable I am selected, I am not able to find out any kind of relationship. So this is what it is, a scatter plot diagram. Then the another one is I want to explain this. Yeah, box plot. already this block plot chart we generated through frequency distribution itself. So here the box plot chart is generated for so section wise final exam. Okay, section wise final exam mark, the box plot chart is drawn here. So what it is indicates how to read this chart. So the first you can see that there are 3 boxes based upon the section. So the lowest, okay, here it is the lowest horizontal line is there. No, it is, we can say it is a minimum value. So the highest, okay, horizontal line is there. No, like it is hamper, that is a maximum value. So the box, okay, here it is the box is no, the beginning of the box we are telling that it is a quartile. Okay, it is a first quartile. So this point what I am denoting, this is a first quartile, and this edge, the here it's a top, this top ending point of the rectangle box, we are saying that it is a third quartile. Why you may ask that why this box? So why this box and why we need this block box chart? So it is for knowing about data distribution. So I will tell. So all my, like it is 20, that is a first quartile is nothing but it's a 25th percentage. That means all the 25% of the final exam marks are above this area, and third quartile, as I told, the third quartile is end here. That is the 75% of the data are A section data marks are distributed below this below this range. So this box plot chart is okay. So this block plot chart is used for checking the data distribution. Okay, as I told, the middle line is a medium. The dark middle line is the median. Then outlier. So what is meant by the outlier? So there are 2 type of outlier you can able to find out in the box plot. Either it be round shape or it is a star kind. If the round means that is a mild outlier. It is a star kind. You can identify. It means it's a strong outlier. What it is this outlier is says? The outlier is says that, okay, the data is away from, okay, that data, the data is away from your block box. The data here, it is the mark 55 is, it's a mild outlier. That means that that data is away from your block plot boxes. Okay, all this data, as I told you, notes all the data is lying between this range. This is the maximum, the minimum range, that is the maximum range. But some you might notice that it is in a QQ test also. I told the one data point is away from the diagonal. So it is a one data, it is away from the range of the box plot test. That is denoted by the outlier. Okay, so then we are moving into the next concept, reliability. Yeah. The reliability. So the reliability is nothing but it is a measuring. So measuring the consistency or stability of the research instrument. The research instrument is nothing but I'm here. It is mentioning about the research question. Okay. So once the research question is the question, once we formulated or create the research questions, we have to check whether our questionnaire is consistent or it is that is stable. So how that is, first I can, so one more before going to discuss about the methods of reliability, I just see this is a symbol 8 question. It's under the scale of motive of investment. For example, you are writing the questionnaire to measure the motive of investment. Okay, so the motive of investment, so you just written a 8 question. So the motive of investment we are speaking about, it is a scale. Okay, so under the scale you put into the 8 items. Okay, 8 questions. Now you have to check whether these 8 questions are properly measuring the motive of investment or it's measuring something else. How we can able to check whether our question is the questionnaire what we created or what we written, it is consistent. So we can, that for that the reliability test will be useful. So here actually when I can say my questionnaire is consistent. For example, the motive of investment, the question which is created, and I circulated the same question to same set of question to some group of people. It is not a single time. I am repeatedly the same set of questionnaire is given to the same group of people to respond the answers. All the time I get the same kind of responses. Then I can say that my questionnaire is reliable. So the thing is here we have to understand that. So before going to the before using our questionnaire to collect the sample or circulating to the respondent, we have to do the pilot study. Okay, whatever questions we written, we have to do the pilot study and check that the questionnaire is rightly measuring our context of research, so that as I explained that the reliability is nothing but whether our research questions is stable or not. How I can check that? I can do the pilot study. So that questionnaire is circulated to some few group of people, and again if that questionnaire produce the same kind of responses all the time, then we can say the particular questionnaire is more, it's the measurement instrument, it is a particular scale what we develop, it is a reliable one. So there are the method here. Okay, there are three methods are used to test the reliability of the data. The first one, the test and retest method. Okay, the test and retest method. Under the test and retest method, see the name, it's a testing and retesting. Okay, the same instrument that is called this like it is questionnaire is given to the same group of people for different occasions. That means we are giving the same kind of questionnaire to the same set of people in the different occasion. Then we are comparing that responses. Okay, we are comparing the responses. Okay, so what will happen if see today I'm giving the questionnaire to some people, they are writing that. Next week also I'm giving the same questionnaire. They might know that the response might come to know that, okay, so what is the purpose of the survey. The participant is come to know that it is a purpose of the survey, and they can answer in the well-planned manner. So there are the drawback in this method to rest and retest method, because second time when the respondent are answering our questionnaire, they will act as a more prepared manner, so that we won't get it real. The second, overcome this drawback, the second method is named alternative form of method. That alternative form of method is nothing but the same set of scale. Is used to create two versions. Okay, the same questionnaire is used to create a two version 1 and version 2. So version 1 will given to some group of people, and version 2 will given to some group of people, and finally they can combine those things and compare the responses consistency. That is also it's compiling it, and again it is changing the version into the original form of the questionnaire. There are the difficulties. So finally that is the third method is found, that is internal consistency method. It's which is useful to came across the first two methods, that is internal consistency method. So actually in olden days, how the researchers they tested their reliability of the questionnaire means they will create the questionnaire, and that they can from the questionnaire, that is a scale, they can go with the subset. They can create the subset from the scale. The subset of the question, the subset is given to some group of people for responding. They can check the consistency of the responses over the subset. So like they done it, then it is after that they can found the method of split hop method. The split hop method is available under the SPSS, because in olden days they done it in the manual manner. Then it is split hop method is came. In the split hop method, all the questionnaire will be uploaded into the SPSS. The SPSS itself, they can create, they can split the respondent, okay, split the respondent into the part 1 and part 2. They can check the consistency of the respondent from the part, they can correlate the score value of the respondents from the part 1 and part 2, like that way then. But almost all these things all will be okay done in the Cronbach-Alba in very sophisticated manner. So in the Cronbach-Alba, so once we can upload our responses, we can check Cronbach-Alba means is the system itself, it will be generated many subset and test the consistency of the respondents from the each subset with others. Yeah, so that is the advantage of the Cronbach-Alba, and the Cronbach-Alba is the mostly used method for checking the internal consistency of the scale. Yes. So here, yeah, now we are going to run a Cronbach-Alba. So please select the file, SPSS file, employee survey. Yeah. In the employee survey, you just, so here it is very few questions only there. I didn't put it entire questionnaire here. Only one scale, that is a employee regarding the scale developed for knowing knowing if the so employees, that is employee service scale only. Just 10 questions only posted here, and also that see, you can open that Word file. You are able to know that what are the 10 questions. That is a 10 item under the scale. Yeah, so look at that. It's a very, it's not a complete questionnaire. Okay, it's only one scale, that is employee survey. So under that there are the 10 items are there. So now we are going to check about the reliability of this okay, this item. So yeah, this in employee survey, see all the question 1 to question 10. Okay, all their measurement scales are denoted here. Okay, now we are going to analyze scale, just for analyze scale, reliability analysis. Under the reliability analysis, what the mistake we do when we are analyzing the reliability means we can so the reliability analysis should be done based upon the scale. So this only one scale I put it employee survey, it has only 10 questions. If I want to know some other thing like employee satisfaction, so there are some other set of questions are if in my questionnaire means I should not club together 2 scale to run the reliability test. So here, so the question 1 from 10, you just select it and go to the statistics. Whatever the item, you can item description and scale description. Item if deleted, select all these 3. Item, scale, item if deleted. Continue. Yeah, it's as I told, it is split off method also will be there. Some other methods also will be there checking the reliability, but it is ALPA. It is a so Cronbach-Alba provide the reliability score based upon the covariance value. Okay, among the items. Give OK. See that it's a case summary. There are, look at that, in that 327 data are there, that is a respondent. but 34 missing values are there. That is, or the put A, that is excluded. Okay, so the 34 missing values are there. You can look at that, the alpha Cronbach alpha value for the scale, it is 0.850. So whenever our Cronbach alpha value is more than it is 0.85, that is a good, but it is acceptable levels are starting from the 7. Whenever we are checking that reliability of the scale, that Cronbach alpha value is more than that 7, it is also acceptable range, but it is a good, it is 8.50. So why we are why we have to check reliability analysis? If our questionnaire is not able to not fitting this, or it is our alpha values is very low, in further analysis we have to build models. That time it's very difficult, so our scale won't support for build the model. So look at that here, the question 1 to question 2, the mean value and the standard deviation and the number of, and here we can come to the item total statistics. Okay, this is an important table for us. Okay, item total statistics. What is our Cronbach alpha value? It's 0.850. Look at here, it's a Cronbach alpha. So this item total statistics will give an idea. If suppose any one item is removed from the questionnaire. So as I told, that is scale, employee survey scale has 10 questions. If any one item, that is for us it's a question only, is removed, whether our alpha value will improve or not. Let's check it. Here it is. Yeah, we can get, it's a question number 8. So if we remove question number 8, our alpha value will move boost, or it is increased to 8.56. See, it's up to the researcher. Okay, that is removing is, it's now up to the researcher, because already our Cronbach alpha value is 0.8. So 0.850. If you want, or whether we are going to be remove the particular item or not, it's based upon our research conduct. You can check it whether this item is neat or not. Okay, you might feel that the particular question is very important for your research, don't want to remove it, then in this case it's quite okay, because already our Cronbach alpha value is 0.850. Okay, yeah. Suppose I will tell you, you run again the tunnel, it is scale reliability analysis with remove that variable this side. Just I removed that. Question number 8. Okay. Yeah, so look at that. Your Cronbach, you remove the particular item, your Cronbach value, Cronbach alpha values increase. So again, I am repeating that it is whether that item is it's important or not. It is based upon the researcher opinion. They feel the particular question is very important. They don't want to remove it. If that time you are suppose already you got a Cronbach alpha values, it's in the good range. So no need to remove any item and going again rechecking the Cronbach alpha value. So once I want to explain the thing, just I put it this summary into the table. You look at that. It is a range of the Cronbach alpha value under strength. If we can get it, the Cronbach alpha value, it is 6 to 7. Then again we have to do it and check whether each items intercorrelation. And if you want to if you are planning to remove any one of the item, then we will increase our Cronbach alpha value. If around it's our Cronbach value alpha values is more than 7 and it's more than 8, means the range is good. Our scale is the consistency is there in our measurement scale. Our measurement scale is reliable. So that is what our prediction from the reliability statistics. And this intercorrelation matrix also is used to check about that how each item, okay, of your in your question will be used. So each item of your questions, how it's correlated with other items. So whenever your Cronbach-Alpha value will be less, you have to check that you have to check the correlation. Okay, it is so correlation with the combined item. The next table shows that correlation. Okay, total correlated value. Okay, total correlated value. The question number 1 correlated with all question number 2 to question number 10, that is 3.77. okay, question number 2 that is correlated with except question 2, that question number 2 correlated with all other items. So how we decide when we started to look at this value means whenever we can get it low Cronbach-Alpha. If we can get it the alpha value is very less, that time if you find any items, their correlation values should be below 0.4, we find out the variable and we try to remove it. In this case, it's not an issue because already we got a Cronbach-Alpha is it's 8.5. So, but same thing, I given the same other file also. See that the data file. Hurric system. Okay, the data file, it is a Hurric system. If you suppose you run the same Cronbach-Alpha for this file, you won't get it for the good Cronbach-Alpha value. So I'm just running that scale reliability analysis and just you just run and check that. See, our Cronbach value for this file is very, very low. It's a 0.516. Then what it indicates? There are so many reasons are there. It is a Cronbach value, so alpha value is low level. So the first, there may be a reason of the sample size. If the sample size is less, also that our Cronbach-Alpha will be less. And suppose we have, you can check that questionnaire what I given for this Hurric employee survey, the Word file also there. Yeah, I'm opening now. Yeah, you can check it. Yeah, there is a number of, one is as I told, the sample size is less also, that time we can get it for the alpha value less. You can see that. So whenever your scale has item is less than 10, so items are less than at least minimum 10. So if it is well and good, it's go 20 items under the scale, then that time that we can expect good alpha value. So here you can look at only 7 questions, and so and also in the data file you can check that number of respondent, that is also you can check. That is also low in the Hurric system. So here only for 7 questions, and also here also there is a negative questions. Suppose in your questionnaire, that is an item, any a particular item is regarding it is a negative, then that recoding should be done. So if if we are not doing that again, so that is and all impact our alpha value. So here I put it the star. So I'm not happy due to the very stiff deadlines. The company giving more deadline, so the employee is not happy because of that. So that is some negative question. So in that, so basically we can make sure that our items are positively worded. If it is any negative worded items are involved into the scale, better recoding. So in SPSS there is an option for recoding the negatively worded question. Yeah. So if the participant, if you do the recoding and run this SPSS, run this again, all that is Cronbach-Alpha for this also, we won't get it for the good alpha value because because as I told, the item, okay, the item only the 7 items are there. So I will just tell you how to do recoding here for the negative. If it is any negative item is involved in our scale, go to transform and there that recode into a different variable. Which variable? This is only I identified as a negative word. So stiff deadline, you just give stiff deadline. and name, what the name I want to give RS recoded strip line change. Yes, old value to new value. If it is, it's previously we given is a 5 is a strongly agree, then that is the 1 now. Add like 4 is a agree, that is now it is a 2. 3 it is a neutral, so 3 is like this. Yeah, and 4 is 2. Yeah, 3. Yeah, it's now it is 2. 2 is a 4. Yeah, it is 1 is 5. So we are doing, why I am doing recoding, because in our questionnaire there is a negatively worded. So you just give that new variable will recoded. Yeah, I'm just opening. Yeah, that is RS recoded will come. So again we have to run the Cronbach alpha value, and we have to check whether any item to be removed from that. Then we have to, you can go to that total item statistic, check that if it is any one item is removed from the scale, whether it is will be improved or not. Again, it's denoting that, okay, stiff deadlines. Okay, if that particular question is item is removed, then the alpha value will improve to 0.57 cents. So we have like iteration basis, we have to check for the questionnaires. Okay. Yeah. So listen, the finally, yeah. So the thing about the Cronbach alpha is we should not run the Cronbach alpha for our entire questionnaire. We have to run the Cronbach alpha based upon the scale. Okay. So the questionnaire, we have to make that all scales items are, it's a positively worded question. As I told that it is hierarchic system, less number of items are there. If it is a less number of item is there in our scale, definitely our Cronbach alpha also value is also less. And it is, if it is, we can get too high Cronbach alpha values also, then that questionnaire is not good, because that leads to some other problem when you can go for that factor analysis and all, like it's a multicollinearity problem. That means what I'm saying, it's a 9.5, your alpha value is 9.5 or 9.3, 9.2, so that it says it's a too high alpha values also will be not reasonable. It's up to 8, 9, it's fine. So if it is low alpha value, means that item, that is means this particular scale has less number of items. That is the main reason. And the questionnaire, that is items, is not interrelated. So we are formulated the questions in the heterogeneous manner, then that is also lead to the low alpha value. So these are the few reasons why our alpha value are less. So I almost ended my session.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much, Dr. Karthika P. Madam, for giving us a detailed description about descriptive statistics and reliability. So, from all the participants, I thank madam. There were a couple of questions which were posed by the participants. One
Okay,
is
sir.
skewness and kurtosis close to 0 means data is standard normal distribution.
Yes.
That means we can expect skewness level of -1 to +1 and kurtosis level of -3 to
2
+3.
plus 3.
Is that
Yes,
right?
sir.
That's what, okay.
Yes, sir. It's correct. Actually, we cannot expect our data is exactly 0. It's not at all possible in the practical. It's a practicality. So yes, always we have the thumb rule. The kurtosis values is range between the 3 plus or minus 3, and yes, it's a skewness values plus or that means -1 to +1. That's correct, sir.
Okay, madam. Next question: the significant value in different tests.
Yeah, sir.
Then which one to consider? If it is Shapiro test is right, and if we want to consider which test is suitable, so which test to consider?
So for checking the normality, it's a Shapiro test is more appropriate, sir.
Okay.
Because all kind of sample size is suitable for the Shapiro test.
And one more question: any specific reason for not testing all the questions in the questionnaire under Cronbach's alpha?
Yeah. Because, for example, if I'm measuring the attitude of the employee, attitude of the employee, for that the item is constructed towards focusing of the attitude, and the another scale is I'm trying to ask is it's like satisfaction level of the employee. The two scales are the heterogeneous scales. If we run it as a Cronbach-Kolbe like that, two different scales, definitely we won't get it a alpha value. That is the reason. Scale wise, it's a better go Cronbach-Kolbe by scale wise.
And last question, madam, is it important to test Cronbach's alpha for adopted scale?
No, it is already, see, adopted scales means what it is. That scale is developed by so and so author already. They proved the scale. Then no need for checking the Cronbach-Kolbe.
Okay, madam. Thank you very much for the insights, madam. And thank you
Sir,
all.
could I just interrupt for a
Yes, madam.
minute?
Please, please.
So when I was using this adopted scale in different papers, I see the Cronbach alpha for the same scale as different, like, because if I take, say, self-esteem scale, if I take Rosenberg's self-esteem scale, that in different papers, they are showing the Cronbach alpha as different. So which one do I take into my paper? That is what was my, major concern.
Ma'am, the Cronbach alpha, there is what I can, social science, exploratory research, the alpha value differ. It's a social science kind of research, its alpha value will differ. So based upon the research also, we can't expect all the time our alpha value, it's more than 8.5. It's based upon the type of research, ma'am. You can better quote good citations.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Can refer that quote and use that what the value you got it, and use the particular scale for further analysis, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam. And thank you all the participants for patient listening. Tomorrow we will meet at the same time, that is at 10:30. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Very nice session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.